All right, so I have my sketchbook. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some markers and I'm going to make a rainbow. I'm just going to make something, pretty easy that I can show you the technique pretty fast. So I'm going to start with my red and I'm just going to make a line with my markers. I'm going to leave a little space and I'm going to do an orange. Do a little space and a yellow. Little space and a green, little space and some blue, and last one is going to be purple because that's the order of the rainbow. Next thing, I'm just going to use some water and a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, you can also use a Q-tip for this, but I'm just going to go up to my red where my line is and I'm just going to move it around a little bit. Move that water in the red, and it's going to create a paint. You can see as I'm coming up to the orange, it's also making an orange for me. So now I'll go to the orange, and just like with paint, I have to kind of clean my brush before I go to the next color. Otherwise, it's going to just make everything blended, and I do want my colors to be separate. So now I'm going to do my yellow, get that yellow going. Now I'm going to do green, and you'll see that sometimes that paint is going to run into the next space because we are doing water. And now I'm going to do blue. And then I'm going to do purple last. All right, and you can kind of see that there's times when you have it where it's not as controlled because it will blend out. So I want to show you on this other one what would happen if I just started making some little piles of color on wax paper or on Ziploc bag. So I'm just going to make some little color spots, and then this is a little bit different. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to add some water here to my color spot, and then I can paint my red rainbow. So this is a different way. This is one way I can do it where I actually write on the paper. This is another way where I can come and I can bring my paint. I can mix my paint on my wax paper and then make it more kind of like watercolors. So I'm just going to do that with each color. And you can see which way you prefer. You might prefer one way over the other. So remember, this is just, you're just finding different ways to make things today. So that when you make your own projects, you can say, okay, I like doing that. And you can see that you have a little bit more control over this one and a little less control over here because you have to add that water and it goes a lot of places. So this is your first one, putting markers straight on. Your second one is putting the markers on the wax paper. So I'm just going to write a few notes. Markers on paper, markers on wax paper, and you can use or Ziploc or a Ziploc bag. Okay, so now that you have those, we're going to move on to this other side. Okay, so for this next one, I'm going to be working in these two spaces, and I'm going to take my markers and I'm going to create kind of a background. I'm just going to use different kinds of lines, and I might go back and repeat, making the pattern. Next week, you might want to create a background. And so this is one way you can kind of create that background. I'm just going to kind of take in between those lines and blend it. I'm just getting a little bit from the purple, I'm getting a little bit from the blue, and I'm letting it kind of meet in the middle and kind of hang out. And I'm going to do the same with the green and the blue. And you'll start noticing that if I just add that water in the middle, and I kind of go back and forth between the green and the blue, kind of gives me this cool effect. And those, I still see that little blue line in the middle, but I also see it kind of mixing together in the middle, so it kind of is cool. And sometimes you have to kind of go back and mix it a little bit better. Just add a little bit more water. And so this, let me add a little bit up here just to finish it off. This could be something you use for a background. So if I wanted even like an ocean scene, this would be kind of a cool ocean scene. If I wanted to cut this out and make a, this might even be a good kind of a texture-y feel to it, like an animal. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some warm colors, and this time I'm just going to put some dots around my paper, different sizes, different cool colors. I mean warm colors. I'm not saying cool this morning. And so you can try different things out. You can try different shapes, you can try different colors, and see how colors blend together. And this one, I'm just going to take that yellow. I'm going to start with my yellows, I think, and I'm just going to make those bigger. Just adding that water. And then you can see I dropped some on my red. Here's some yellow. I'm going to clean my brush in between each time. That's where I'm kind of sticking with my oranges. Kind of do all those together. And I'm just kind of blending them around. I'm kind of just wetting them to get that color activated. And I'm letting it hang out with other colors. And if you have a space that's empty, you can kind of take your brush and any extra paint and just move it around. And you'll see different colors. Now, one thing I don't want to see is you just taking your brush and going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth like this. Because if you do that, it's all just going to be orange. That's all it's going to be. It's going to be one color instead of all these other colors kind of put together. So when you are doing this, try different colors, experiment with colors, experiment with your lines and see which lines, experiment with dots. Just experiment. This is your time to experiment with the markers, see what they do. Okay. Now, if you don't have markers, you could do this with colored pencils and just experiment with patterns. And you could do, like instead of doing your markers here, you could do a red colored pencil, and then you have to fill it in with some type of pattern. Okay. Maybe you do polka dots. Maybe orange, you do stripes. Maybe yellow, you do checkerboard. So you're just experimenting with your supplies today. Okay? I hope you have fun with this.